like I'm live. If you can hear me in the chat room, oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, this is Grandmaster Amarad coming back. The first video seemed to have had a problem with the connection again. So I think we're a lot better now. And today's video is on, I was discussing xenophobic situation in South Africa. It's fake news. Xenophobic incident, one incident can be considered xenophobia, I guess. To tell you the truth, I haven't really done a lot of research on the actual history of xenophobia yet, but I will go into that. And if this thing gets to be a little bit, out of hand. But right now, it looks like social media has spilled out some issues, and we're going to see how much it's going to digest. Now, right now, it's basically at the same stage as it was when they were saying the Chinese were trying to take over Africa. This propaganda has reached about that level where it became like a normal conversation to talk about Chinese, and then you came out with the fake news that the Chinese was blocking blacks from going into a hotel. We're kicking blacks out of Africans out of restaurants. You can remember when I mentioned it. Back a few months ago, or maybe a year ago now. It was all the rage. The Chinese were the bad people in Africa. They are doing. They were using debt as a weapon. All these lies. You don't hear it now because the shit wasn't true. They was gonna take over the electric company of Zambia. That was a lie. No, not true. But they came out and social media was all the rage that the Chinese were the bad people. Okay, now today we have the xenophobia, whereas somehow we have some South Africans that are angry down in Durban area, a township near Durban area, and they're running around saying we're going to, all foreigners got to go out the country. Did that do it doesn't even make no sense. So they go around, now they have sent out a text message that says, making it, spread it through South Africa to white people and foreigners, saying that you got 1 month to get out of town. If you don't, we're gonna go through every shop, we're gonna go through every business, and anybody that don't have a South African ID is gonna be dealt with. This is what the text message is saying that they sending out, scaring and flaring up this same type of hatred, and we are just falling for it, and I'm actually happy to see that some people or more people are getting involved in saying that this thing is just being something that's being run by CIA. They're not very far from the truth. It's just that you have people with different mindsets, and these people with this mindset of destructive behavior were doing things. What these things have in common is they take people who don't have jobs, give them money, and then direct them to do these things. And the person takes the money, and then his life is threatened or his family is threatened to go through with it. And then there you go. Some of them take the money and love it. They've been promised we're going to give you billions and millions if you do break this one window pane, or if you can get 5 of your friends to come, we're going to do some fake guns and go run around the streets. Ha ha, it's a big joke. Don't worry, nobody's going to be hurt while we film it. Or they take these guys out, get them drunk, or give them money and they go out drinking, and then they put this notion in their head, and Africans are like that. If you tell an African boy the weather is really terrible in Kenya, isn't it? Yeah, they'll tell you, oh yeah, the weather is really terrible in Kenya. They will agree with you. Just because they're going to agree with you, go tell them the weather in Kenya is one of the best in the world. They'll tell you, oh yeah, it's true, it's the best in the world. Yeah, we do got good weather. I have experienced this too many times that you can't even really trust somebody when you ask them a question in that form, in a certain way. You really got to phrase the question carefully if you wanted to get an opinion from somebody, from an African, because it's in their nature to be agreeable with you. It's in their nature to say be on your side when they're in a conversation. So they will say whatever you want them to say. You know, you have to be very careful. Now, when it comes to propaganda, it doesn't take much to get a group of Africans to go in one way or the other. The Rwanda genocide shows you what can happen. Idi Amin in Uganda is another classic example of the British ripping him a new booty hole with all kind of lies and propaganda, and the man was just trying to get his country back into the hands of the Ugandan people. So they show you one picture or two pictures of 4 or 5 people on the ground supposedly dead, bleeding dead, and saying that Idi Amin is responsible for these people's deaths. He's going around killing his own people. Does that sound familiar? Didn't they say that about what's the guy in Iraq? I can't think of his name now. Did they say the same thing about Gaddafi in Libya? He's killing his own people, gassing his own people. Would they say the same thing about Hitler? He's gassing his own people, killing his own people. And then when you really do the investigating, everybody knows it's not true. There's no proof. And let me take one of these examples and try to hurt some people's feelings here. Let's take the white man's favorite enemy, the Adolf Hitler. Now, Hitler, and that's a touchy subject. I'm saying, thank you, bro. Thank you, Marcus. They first had to demonize you. Now let's take Hitler. Now is Hitler, was in your own mind, is Hitler a good person? Was Hitler a good man, or was he a bad man? Generally speaking. What's up, D. Campbell? I'm here. Marcus, what is it? Are you Marcus or are you Campbell? Because your name says one thing and that thing says another. Now, Hitler generally was a great man and a good man. Now, how can you talk about Hitler as a great man? You see, because you've been propagandized. I'm using the white guy as an example. But how many people know that everybody knows Time Magazine? Time Magazine, and every year they have, the Man of the Year. They made Obama Times Magazine Man of the Year. Well, in I think it was 1932, who was the Man of the Year on Time Magazine? That's right, it was Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was because he had turned around the economy of Germany from something one of the poorest countries in Europe to the most powerful country in Europe. Oh, but then he got in a scrape situation with England and the Jews in Germany, and that was it. But when they were trying to start a war, British was trying to take land from Germany and killing off their people and killing off Germans in Poland. Adolf Hitler sent 16 letters saying, "Hey, let's to England saying let's not go to war. Let's be peaceful." But you never hear about that. You never hear about the fact that Ford Motor Company was the engines and all of the trucks that were made in Germany at that time were Ford trucks. Ford Motor Company was double dealing. It was dealing with the U.S. and the arms and weapons industry, and it was selling engines and parts to Germany. You didn't know. Many of you don't understand that. So my point is that they made Hitler look like the most ruthless killer of all times. And that he wanted white supremacy and wanted to take over Europe. He didn't want to take over Europe. You see, he just no. Go back and reread your history if you can find the truth. But it's because of the mass media propaganda, news, and entertainment that we sit up and believe this nonsense. Now here we are in Africa. We ain't but a minute after the Gaddafi when they were saying that Gaddafi, not Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi was killing his own people and gassing them, and the people hated him, and the people wanted him out. He was ruthless. He wasn't even in control of the country. Where you find the place where they said Muammar Gaddafi was the president of Libya? He wasn't. This is what I'm saying, how bad propaganda can be. He was not in charge of the day-to-day running of the country. Then you go, oh, I mean, he was in charge through the back door, whatever he said, go. No. Go read his green book. He was not interested in being in charge of a country. So saying that, okay, he's the one who made these choices for how the country was going to deal with this, that was the mass media propaganda. They have to focus on a boogeyman. They got to get a boogeyman there, and that's how they get you. Now, in this xenophobic thing, the boogeyman is the South Africans, some ruthless killer machine people that are all, they're trying to make everybody in that South Africa is the boogeyman, and any foreigner is the victim. This is not the case. You go anywhere in any goddamn country, even the United States, the local people don't normally want them jobs of cleaning the streets and taxi cab driving and owning these small time shops. This is what foreigners do when they come to any country. Go to India, you'll be finding Pakistanians running shops. Go to America, you'll be finding Chinese, Asians running shops. You understand what I'm saying to you? So to come up and say xenophobia, we want you guys to get out of the shop. Where the hell were you when they first opened the shop? Let me see what it says. In fact, Ford sued and won against the U.S. government for bombing its factories. Yeah, because the United Africa. This is funny that this is coming when on July 8th, they ratified the African Free Trade Agreement, and now they've implemented it. So it's now in the action stage. And then now this comes out. Okay, I can see something is awry, but I can't put my finger on it. That is how they do it with the propaganda. But if you can start to see something funny, I'm a lover of history, so I go back and look at the history. And as I said in the previous video, I did the research all during the time when America was attacking Zimbabwe, and putting all those propaganda lies saying that the people were starving in the streets and dying of hunger in Zimbabwe, and it was nothing like that. But I'm reading this article talking this nonsense, and then turn around and go through the research and see the shit's not true. So I'm like, damn, so they're gonna sanction Mugabe so he can't go fly to any other country. This very bad what they did here. But they did a race conference on the racism in South Africa back in the day. And many people spoke. Bush didn't come. He sent Colin Powell, I think it was. And all the leaders came up and spoke about, getting rid of racism. And so out of all the leaders in that conference, the only one leader was given a standing ovation. And that was President Robert Mugabe, because he was taking the white man and going against the white man, taking the land from the white farmers and paying them the price for their land. But then the Western media was saying he stole the land from the whites, kicked the land off the white people off their land. Don't you know that would be bombing that country left and right? England had said they was going to pay for the white people to relinquish the land. So I don't know what's wrong with this internet here. It keeps popping up with this story. There's back. Okay, it's fishy. Yeah, Mugabe died this morning. Yeah, that's why I'm talking about Robert Mugabe. I just got into Nairobi and walked a little eating place in the morning, get some, some coffee, and it was on the news that he had died. But he had been sickly, and everybody's going to die, so we knew it was going to happen sooner or later. But I wish he would have died in Zimbabwe. But we'll see what the next few days go when they start talking about Robert Mugabe. It's going to be the people that Zimbabwe. It was great, highly intelligent man. The most learned president of all African presidents was Robert Mugabe, or I think he's the most learned president. He got like 6 master's degrees. Yeah, but he's bad man with 6 master's degrees. Come on, you joking. Never trust a white man or the white woman. Never. Okay. Now they got a lot of power, white people, and I'm not an enemy of white people. Uh, I just don't associate with them. You know what I'm saying? When I'm just like that. You know, because the average white person is no different with me except for how much I deal with him. And when I sit up and deal with them, then I can take the blame for whatever they do to me or whatever they say to me or whatever happens to me. So I made a conscious decision that I was going to separate myself and not push any kind of relationship with anybody that was white, because even the white friends that I had, none of them came out to be any good. You know. So I lived with a white German for 4 years in Mombasa when I first came here to Mombasa. So I can live with them, know them, seeing them, smelling them, knowing how they are every day, see what kind of food they eat, what they think, what they watch on TV. It was all because I had he was my friend, we just parted ways. It wasn't that nothing really bad. It's just we grew apart, and when I look back at the way he was, it was like you can't get away from. He couldn't get away from the thing where we could be equal. You know, friend on friend. No, he had to be like the superior friend helping the poor black guy. You know, and now here I am. I'm working and doing my own thing, but uh, that is that case of being it was in him. It was deep in him, and a lot of white people have that issue. You know what I mean? Because really, the one thing they can hang on to is that they're superior to black people, which is the biggest joke in the world. You know what I mean? Yes, Mugabe is the greatest of all time. And people go back and look at some old magazine, New African magazines, and you see that they did a very good portrayal of him on many different stories and different levels. And yet the mass media, branded him. They tried to say that there was war going on in Zimbabwe and elections were rigged. How they gonna go have an election? All the election advisors are going. Observers going to go to the election, and only the ones from Western countries were the ones saying the elections were flawed, but they couldn't give a reason. These people are sick. They're few and they're sick. They're few in number, and only way they can get you is attack you with propaganda. So anytime that you hear something about black people or African people, are doing violence and all this stuff, you have to know that we can't be violent without there being some help from outside. I've been living in Africa for 20 years. How my neighbor is gonna have an opinion about he want to go riot? He got a wife and kids. He gonna go work out. I can't take it anymore. Take what? The country is beautiful. The weather is great. Beautiful women everywhere. Beautiful, handsome men everywhere. The food is everywhere. What you gonna get mad and argue about? Now you in South Africa, instead of fighting the white minority, you're gonna start targeting your old African people that are trying to make it. It's jokes. They just trying to send you on a thingy spree while they try to figure out how they can get Julius Malinde to calm down and stop telling his people to hate whites and try to take over the land. But he was right. But now you see that land issue is gonna get quiet now. I'm gonna keep my eye on Julius Malinde and see what he says about the xenophobic attacks, which he's talking off one side of his mouth now, and what if he's gonna still keep pressing the land issue. He got that. He pressed that land issue to get voted into office, and his party is got a lot of seats behind the people trusting him. Let us see what happens from there. But as far as this xenophobic attack stuff goes, it's no way that they can continue and spread that thing, because most Africans have families, and they're not going to be running around fighting in the street, and they got a family at home and got a job and got to feed and protect their family. You're just going to see a lot of, when you start seeing nothing but young blacks, mainly unemployed or mainly poor, then you know this thing is triggered by some outside force. When you see it's going only happening in the townships, then you know that's an outside force. You get what I'm saying? They're not gonna put it into happen in the rich. They ain't gonna allow these young Africans to run around in the rich areas and talk about xenophobia. So let's get that straight. Uh, exactly, they like to be believing towards us, and the like of when we're down, so they can save us. Let me explain this to you. If blacks happen to move or slow down their coming to America, or slow down, uh, you know, coming to leaving Africa to go to a state and live in America and work in America, the West and America would be in trouble. Right now, that's what's happening. As I said before, as Europe goes down, and let's not make no mistake, Europe is going. They just now had to close Parliament, and then people are saying the British Parliament was closed, and they were saying that that's like a coup, actually a coup, because they know what the economists know what's going to happen to England when they try to do business with other countries separate from the European Union. British got a long history of fucking up. So ain't nobody gonna do business with them, and they can't compete with the Chinese at all. That little bitty island, how can they compete with the Chinese? It's joking. The Chinese can offer things at prices that British can only dream of. They don't have no farmland. They don't have no factory industry in England. It's only like a financial place where you come and do money, where it was doing money before and getting help by from the United States. But that little island, what can they do? They ain't got no farmland. It's too cold. What they gonna offer the rest of the world? You see what I'm saying? Only but lies and trickery. You see? The same with Germany. Now Germany is about to go into recession. Why? Because they making motorized cars and everybody's saying we're gonna go to electric cars. Here's Germany's neighbor country saying in 6 years we're not gonna buy no more engines, combustible engines. So where that leave Germany? They ain't even tried to build electric cars in Germany. Seriously. So now they're going into recession because people not buying them cars. What about General Motors? General Motors just got up and walked out of America, damn near completely, saying, "Look, I'm laying all you people off that's making these combustible engines because we're going in another direction." And that's because China is also saying they're going to the electric car. So if you ain't in the electric car business, then you're gonna be out of business as far as the automotive industry is concerned. So that's why I'm trying to explain to people that the mass media say one thing, and there's a whole nother thing going down on the ground, and that is what you call propaganda. The white man is instigating to divide us, but it won't work. I appreciate that, and it shouldn't work. But I don't have people in my channel. I'm not here for all Black Americans. My channel is not for here. I'm not looking at all Negroes in America. No, I'm not even looking for that. I'm looking for those brothers who can see something is not right and see like America is messed up. And in order for me to get my head right, let me have a plan to go to Africa. I'm not saying you got to come, but you need to at least have an African plan set in motion. What you got money set aside for a fucking plane ticket? Your family got all their passports and stuff in order. You got a country, and you got people that you know in that country that if you fly there, they can assist you. That's an African plan. It ain't that goddamn hard. But once you put it into place, when America starts to, when the tornado starts to wipe out America, the economic tornado, not the Noruega. The economic tornado wipe out America. You ain't got to be sitting there like, oh my God, let me trust in America. No, you can get on the fucking flight and go there. Leave about the debt. The debt is the debt. You got a lot of debt. Yes, put that shit aside and save you some money for your exit plan. And don't use it. You don't need a lot of money. You got $5,000, $7,000, $8,000. You good. You know what I mean? You got a car or you got something you can sell. then put it aside, get it ready so that if shit hit the fan, you can make a quick sale, get up that money that you need, and then walk out the door. Because it's gonna be beyond soup kitchens, my friend, when the economy fall, and they even warning us now. That's how bad the situation is. They even warning us that it's gonna be bad. I remember when my father to get a job and work for the bus company, and then he could stay in that job for 30 years. He retired. They gave him $70,000. He blew that money within 3 years. And then he was just on Social Security. Then but there, when I went to the police department, I was in the academy, and we were wearing these light blue uniforms, and then the class ahead of us, the one that was about to graduate, was wearing tan uniforms, the LAPD. And I was like, why they got tan and we blue? Well, you guys are different now. And they said those in the tan uniforms in the academy were the last group of policemen that got the 20-year and out pension. They removed that. So for me, was, and never did find out, but it wasn't no 20 years and out, like the way the police department was back in the day. So you see, the white man, if you think he's smart, he's not, because he can't even come up with a fucking financial plan that can save his country. You understand what I'm saying to you? So don't ever tell me that white people are smarter than black people. No. Black civilizations have ran for thousands of years the same way. It's only when outsiders come in and disrupt it that you have a breakdown of a black society. But other than that, we know how to put an economic situation, a social program together where everybody is fed and happy, and the community works smoothly in harmony and in peace. Like Shaka Zulu was trying to stop all of them white men from coming into his land because he already knew what they was about. You see? But they still came in with lies and trickery. This is Jesus. And, the South Africans fell for it. So the black man, that's what he get. And this is what we got. How you see now, because of social media, there's another thing that's very quiet. It's because of social media, a lot of Africans today that are deeply in church, because they're deeply religious, because they have religion classes in public school. All schools in Africa basically have religion. So you're either Muslim or you're either Christian, and you pick that class, and then you've just been given class. You get studies on that all through school, so it's in you. But now they popping up, and they see social media, and Google is now giving them insight into that shit ain't real. And they at home late at night by themselves, quietly reading that shit, and then they they don't have the same perspective as before. Because once you get a touch of the truth, it's like that. They're not gonna really. The African is not ready to break out and say, "I'm going to religion is bullshit," But they just quiet on the subject. And the churches in Kenya are 50% full now. The population of the church is not growing; it's decreasing. Everybody sees it. You see. So it's only a matter of time before he just come out, break out, and say, "Look, I ain't for church." He ain't gonna be like a brother gonna come out and start speaking in the street. Jesus is fake. That's the shit. The Bible's a lie. Blah blah blah. But you see, the African, he just keep quiet, and move to another direction. He won't be doing all that standing out in the streets. For those who are studying abroad, would you recommend finishing their studies before returning? For those that are studying abroad, I'm gonna go subject. Abroad. What do you mean abroad? Are you mean like in the U.S. or in Europe? Okay, make me understand what you mean. I talk when you say that, and I can help you. As far as education is concerned, that's when if it was me and my kids was in the United States going to school, I'd be pulling them out of school and sending them to a boarding school in Africa. Oh, you're in Australia. Australia. Okay, we're studying abroad. Would you recommend finishing the studies before returning? Well, that's natural. If you're talking about finishing your studies in a white man's country and then coming back home, that's the whole purpose of that. That's what they're trying to tell you. But the problem is that when you go there and you take their schooling, you get caught up in their lifestyle, and then you find yourself working there and sending money back, and you'd end up, if you get with a white person there, then she gives you children, then you're stuck. I know a brother, and a Kenyan brother that's there. He went to America and then because his mom pushed him, then later on he called for a girlfriend. The mom and them set him up with a Kenyan woman. They sent her to the states, and both of them got citizenship. Then California went buck wild and went to it got to be too bad. They had to move to I think it was another Nevada or I don't know what country, what state. And then he decided that he had enough. He wanted to come back home. And she's not. Then there you go. There's so many incidents like that. You know what I'm saying? So he's there stuck, being an American and watching Kenya get high speed railway and him stuck in America and they got all kind of potholes in the road. So as the Africa rises, the West declines, and the East is helping the helping the Africans rise. Yes, I agree with you on that point. Africa is not returning here. It's unbelievable. Really, okay, you look at somebody who's like been okay, semi-rich. You're looking at somebody who is like semi-rich. I had all this money to do all these things, and for you young people that are out there, I just want to tell you now, material things is not gonna make you happy. You know, material things not. I had the biggest radios, I had the biggest TVs, I had all of the house, I had the hot girlfriend. Girlfriends is liability. Women are liabilities to the non-married man. You know, and you gonna spend a lot of money on that chick. Either she be American or she be Kenyan. If you get a chick, that's a liability. If she ain't making more money than you, she a liability. If she ain't letting you live with her and stay with her, that's a liability. Now I don't know the pleasure of living with a woman who had made more money than me. 5 bedroom house, it's beautiful, and she took good care of me. But then as a man, I felt like I had to be my own man. I've had women who had no education, not even finished school, live with her and find myself alone in my own house because I couldn't even talk about half the things I want to talk about because she didn't have a level to reach to understand me. And then I was caught her trying to pretend like she knew what I was talking about and she didn't know. You see? So in that respect, women are a liability. You got to be careful how much money you're pulling out your wallet to take care of them. If they can't take care of themselves, if they can't be an asset to your family, then you know you need to reevaluate your situation because it ain't gonna end nicely. Except for you going to be poking out a lot of money until you don't have it no more. But uh, not to get off the track, yeah, women are a liability, and then at the same time, uh, you have to look at your whole situation uh, when you come to Africa. So I have completely lost that point where I was saying. So sorry about that. Okay, yes, I agree with you on that point. Africa is not returning here. Yeah. Okay. Let me jump back onto my subject matter before I get off this point here. Like I said, coming to you from Nairobi. Uh, I've got a class. I got a class here in about what time is it? Oh, in about a couple hours, and preparing for that martial art class. And then tomorrow I'll be going for a promotion, kids promotion or grading, I think. On Saturday, on Sunday we have a big tournament. I hope to come to you live from that tournament, and we talk. So remember to support the channel. I think you can look in the comment section. I'll put in there how you can support the channel. Have super chat in Africa, so this is the only way we can do it. There's an M-Pesa mark there. The phone number is 254. And the name is Evalin That's my wife. So the phone is in our phone is in her name. Can't be in two different people's names. So obviously it was easy to put it in her name. So uh yeah, this thing on the issue about women, because I got a lot of young brothers that are here, and they first, and every one of them have a Kenyan woman on their hand, on their arm. This is my girl, that, and I can understand it because the women here are so beautiful and attractive, and they don't mean well. I mean, they mean well, They just want a good man to take care of them, and you ain't gonna have your shortage of them. And then when I say you're not gonna have a shortage of women, this is a different show. I'm gonna talk about a different show. When I say you ain't gonna have a shortage of women, it makes you seem like, well, this is my girl. You feel like that's a kind of an insult because your girl is special. So if you have more than one girlfriend in your lifetime, you know that ain't true. You know what I mean? Because the more girlfriends you go through, the more you see they all ain't all that one to die for. So you have to be sometimes. Now that's anybody's guess, and who knows what's in a woman's mind. But you know what, you broke and don't have money, and you're telling your wife to go out there and go ask a relative for money, or go out there and get a job somewhere when you used to be one taking care of her elaborately. Uh, that's a personal situation. But on my side, if I could look at my younger self and tell my younger self, look, I tell him this. I say, hey, uh, relationships can come and go. They can go die, and then they can be revived from the dead and come back and go for a second time. But you got to pay yourself first. You got to take care of you first. You get what I'm saying? If you can't take care of yourself, of course you can't take care of your woman. But when it comes down to your woman, you got to learn to say no. You got to tell her that costs too much. You see, you got to say, this is where I am economically. If you can't deal with it, let's not waste each other's time and my money uh, for some few months while you dick around trying to figure out what you're gonna do next. You know, a lot of the African Kenyan women have family, and you be expected to take care of their family. So uh, if you get one that's poor and she's gonna come from a poor family, then they family you can be expecting a visit from their family, from her family, or they be expecting you to visit them, and that's no joke in Africa. You know, you gonna have to visit that family, and you gonna have to pay. So get that through your head, because ain't nobody she ain't gonna stay with you if you ain't supporting with the family. And yeah, so that's my quick advice on that one. But I want to finish up on get back to the xenophobic issue. This is all fake news, and I shouldn't say this is all fake news, but the majority of it is fake news. You have to learn to read the signs. I'm gonna come up with another part 3 if this one shows any interest, and we're gonna discuss about what signs to look for when you're looking for some article or some news program that's fake, because a lot of our people seem not to be able to get that. The normal dealings in life is just boring. I got a woman. We've been together 10 years. We got 3 kids. We got a house. The function of the house goes like this: you walk in, your kids greet you, your wife greets you, or she don't greet you. Because you see each other every day. You hardly talk half the time. You pay your bills. You come together. You decide we're gonna get this item, that item. You get the item. You celebrate a bit. Then you move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? That's basically family life. Take care of your kids and make sure that when they get strong enough and old enough, they come out to take care of you. And that's it, because you're gonna get old. Before you know it, in Africa, the time moves whoosh, like that. So be ready. It's just that simple. Where you? How are you? What do you know? Okay, I've been in many relationships, more than the average guy. And I don't mean like, here, there, that one, this one. No, I mean full blown relationships where we get together, she gets pregnant and we have children, and then we live in a household and a family, then the family gets messed up, and then it breaks up. And it took me a long time to realize, to figure out how to do it correctly. And And when I figured it out, I realized that even if you do everything right, the relationship can still crumble. It can just fade because people change their mind. You know what I mean? That's the reality of the life. You know what I mean? Some people in the old days, people put a lot of emphasis on the institution of marriage. Today they don't. So today you can be married to what's and such, and then break up, and then the next thing you know, you got another guy. Before you know it, she's introducing you as her husband, and it's not the same, like it was in the old days. So that's my take on it. I don't know how I got back on that from xenophobic, xenophobia. Okay. Anyway, let me stop because this obviously is another video where I got emotional on the issue of xenophobia because people are sitting up here putting up these stories and media guys and Diane, even him. He's saying this is my last show on this xenophobic thing. But I mean, I can understand the way his group is set up. It's designed. It has to continue with those things that are prevalent and what people want to talk about. But here on this channel, that shit is fake news, and you ain't gonna see me harping on it, talking about what the South Africans did or what happened, the killings in Chicago and the police brutality. I'm not for that. I'm already saying, look, we're beyond that here at this channel. We are for let's get an African plan, and if you want to take the African plan to the next level, let's implement it. You know what I mean? Give me what advice you want, and what advice you might want to ask me. Ask me questions, and then we move from there. So this is it. This is part 2 of the xenophobia video. If you like what we talk about, I put it here in the chat how you can support the channel with $5 or $10. I'll remember to put that also in the description box. We don't have super chat here. We don't have Patreon in Africa. They won't give it to us because that would be taking money out of America, and they don't want that. So if you support the channel and you want to support something like this, let's do it whichever way they can let us. And right now, westernunion.com, mobile wallet, M-Pesa, to the phone number, and to Evelyn Omandi is my wife's name on the account. Put that in there, and then if you do it at the early part of a show, we can see that message, and then I can read your name out on the air. Otherwise, I want to thank Richard and those guys for putting out the super chat, African super chat through Western Union. It's highly appreciated, and it highly motivates me to continue to give you guys the reality of the situation. But don't let 5 people in South Africa be killed. Let that turn out to be like the whole country's on fire. That's just a big lie. And I challenge anyone to come on here without all of the blah and calling me names to come on here and say that it's not. Prove to me that it's not fake. Prove to me that Nigerians and Africans are not talking to each other all through the whole countries, and like that. There's a fucking station channel that came out talking about the Nigerians pulled out of the World Economic Forum because of xenophobia and South Africa. Please, this is as an example of what I'm talking about. How the hell 5 people get killed and the whole country is gonna pull out of the World Economic Forum? Being held in South Africa, they pulled out the whole forum. This is the wording that they use. And Al Jazeera, they're talking like that. It wasn't even the president that was supposed to go. It was the vice president. And they said, look, it's violence right now. The country's going through a little thing. We can postpone it because this ain't the World Economic Forum. It was just one part of the little meetings that they have, as part of the whole forum. But Nigeria has not said that they was going to pull out, or they have pulled out of the whole economic forum because they all mad at the South Africans. This is what they want. This is what the Western media is. Go look at that show on Al Jazeera and see how desperate they are to put that kind of propaganda in the mind that, okay, Africa is unstable. No way. And I'm waiting for the African politicians to get up here and say the truth. These people, the guy is saying that, okay, we got the Rwandan president, the Malawian president, and another president. They pulled out of the forum. Now he shows a picture of these same 3 presidents shaking hands, holding hands. Now, funny to me, why would he just say those 3, and then he should have a picture of those same 3 holding hands? It wasn't that wasn't like there was an agreement. The picture was like to show that they was in agreement. They was leaving was for some, they were leaving the forum. It's just a big lie. And and with that, I'm gonna close out this video. And until the next time we meet, uh, this is Diamond Rock calling, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, where I've spent the last 20 years investigating into the mass media lies and propaganda from an on-ground perspective, on the ground. So far, there's nothing really to say as far as my family and business. Everything is still normal like it is. Incidents that happen that don't affect me by thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, you know, uh, are are not affecting the overall plan, and it should not affect you and your plans to have an African plan or to come to Africa. Because even in the Rodney King riots, did the people in New York and Chicago, did they feel it? No, they didn't feel a thing. You know what I'm saying? So don't let, like, Africa is a big country, and it's, I mean, a big continent. So imagine some 5 or 6 South Africans go into a shopping mall, trash the mall, and then the whole of Africa is unstable now. That smacks of propaganda. That smacks of CIA involvement in propaganda. When you try to make one incident, you can try to connect it with the whole continent coming apart. That's just bullshit. And I'm here to tell you. Okay, glad you shed some light on the South African subject. And you guys in the comment section, shoot me some questions that you have. If you agree or you disagree, just let me know. But I'm trying to tell you, me, I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior physically, and I'm a warrior academically. So when you come to me with nonsense, you better come correct with your information, because I'm gonna rip it apart. And I know that hurts some people's feelings, but your feelings got to be hurt when you start looking at the news and be going like, that shit is so true, and it's not. Anybody that's listening to these shows like Dr. Moonbee, you guys need to quit. Yeah, this is where you're gonna get the reality check. But I know most of you are asleep and you don't want to be woken. You don't want to come into reality. So when I'm in rise here to try to wake you up, no, I want to still sleep. Leave me alone. I'm not ready to wake up. I'm having a great dream. Xenophobia has taken over. That feels good to me. You know, and when I wake you up and say, "Hey, wake up, man. Everything's peaceful." You don't want to wake up. But we'll see you in the next video. So until then, this is the Diamond Rock, and peace.